E3, and I said,
501c3.
yeah, and I said, I don't know what that is. And he said, well, you need to get with a nonprofit. So I've hooked up with Mr. Laney back here. And we had a meeting today with Andy from Variety Attractions. So Laney is going to submit we're going to try to get a grant through the Coshocton Foundation. And then I'm going to ask City Council for $10,000. And I would like to also ask the county for $10,000 and see if we can put on something that, just like he said, to get people downtown. And I think we can do something really good, and we're heading in a positive direction here. And these guys, they got some bands. They've got some bands. I mean, we could spend a lot of money, but you know, because they showed 38 Special, and I said, what's a band like 38 Special cost? And he said you can get them for about $40,000. I mean, which is it's a lot of money, but you know, so we're working on some stuff, and I think we're gonna be all right. I'm gonna go around and try the beer garden, like he said, you know, that's gonna be one of the things. I'm gonna try to sell $2,000 sponsorship seats for down front. Concession stands. I mean, yeah, we're gonna try to do it upright.
When are you hoping to do it, Jen?
We're looking maybe June, July, August, September, because Laney would like
So
to.
4 shows?
We're thinking 4. Laney would like to piggyback off of some of the things that our town's doing, like with their car show. And then after the car show, we'll have a concert, and, you know, so we're gonna find out if we get some money, and then we're gonna sit down and kind of really hash out the dates and then try to see what kind of bands we can get.
Do we know what Phil Dirt would cost?
No, I don't.
Are they still active?
Yeah, well, they were a year ago. That's a shocking connection there.
So, yeah. So,
Chad,
I
is
mean,
the venue like Main Street?
yeah, I've been in contact with, it's a company called Dewey Decimal. I think it's out of Zanesville also, and they will bring in a stage, sound system, and lights. So we won't have to worry about anything. He brings it in, sets it up.
Would that be on at the courthouse?
Well, yeah, Andy suggested, I think we should do it right in front of the art park. Put the stage right there, and then we can out to the,
I made contact with Dr. Dunlap. They would allow us to put a electrical box on the back side of the Buckeye building. So we wouldn't have a generator and all that like we scrambled for with the Beatles Mania concert.
so what I was gonna try to do, I was gonna try to get Dewey down here and have him look at what we have and see what we need to put in to. So that's where I'm at.
So you're talking about, you said front row seat, you're gonna,
Just like a
Sell-
table, it would be like a table.
like a table.
Like if I went to you and I said, Mike, you know, if you give me $2,000, I'll give you a table of 8. And you can
Okay.
sit right down front, and we'll try to do as many as we can with the shows.
So that's gonna have to be kind of policed, so to speak, you know, when.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
security or
it would be reserved. It would just be reserved. You'd only have so many, and then everybody else would have to sit behind them.
That'd be your corporate sponsor.
Yeah, that would be your corporates, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good
So-
job, Chad. Thanks.
I'm working on it. It's,
Good.
and I think we're gonna have some shows next year, so.
Good work, Chad.
Yeah.
Gotta be good motivation for the theater.
Mhm.
Start
Yeah.
doing some stuff, get some stuff done on that.
I mean, I can pass this around, let you guys look at it. I mean, they've got all kinds of entertainment. You know, they've got some bands that just, what do you call them? Tribute bands. Yeah, and they're like $7,000. But then you get the stage, you know, so you're at like 10.
I think
For-
Walt
for-
said last year he paid 12 for what?
Yeah, you know, for something like that, so. But yeah, they do have a lot of entertainment.
I'll impersonate Elvis.
Local bands that have quite a
And
big following also.
And see, I would like to take that, I'd take maybe the local bands could open for these other bands, and I think we can incorporate something like
I think
that.
Big Fat Dog would probably load up downtown for the move.
Did they have anything country?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because we talked about doing that for
Yeah.
First Farm Friday.
So I'd get Trace Atkins here if we got the money. You know, I mean, they've got, he's in this book, so.
Cool.
That's fun.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
work in progress, so.
Good.
Thank you, Wayne.
Tiffany was supposed to be here tonight. Maybe she's running late, maybe. Give us an update. If not,
I can.
yeah, Roger can. You brought your report.
Yep.
Okay, I did too. All right, so if she shows up, we'll go back to her. The ordinance committee, I just put some things on there that we were sent, but on the agenda, they're asked to be added to. But a lot of these we had already had. 5321 needs to be passed tonight. 5421 needs to be passed. They all need to be passed. You guys have the list. I'm not going to insult your intelligence with the exception of,
The wage ordinance, the wage ordinances do not have to be passed tonight if you don't want to. Because if you're gonna meet next month, they can take their course for one time. It's totally
we'll
up to
just
you
go ahead
guys,
and
but
pass them because I think it's, that's what's on the ordinance and we'll just go ahead and do it for the wages and things. It'll be done.
that's your, it's your preference.
Yes. Yeah, we only have one meeting in December, so we'll just go ahead and do them. 5621 will be the one to take its course. Number 8, I guess, we heard the presentation from Coshocton and Bloom. I talked to Bob. Do we need to write something up to create an ordinance to, if we're in agreement to donate the money, or how should we do this?
It's more of an auditor's question. I assume you need some kind of legislation in order to.
Well, it
So, right.
depends, if we're just gonna use appropriations that are already in a line. And I think that we had talked about the general fund property maintenance line. There's appropriations there. If you want to designate its own line for it, I can create a line, Coshocton and Bloom, and basically I'll have you do a transfer from the property maintenance to that line. We can do it that way, and I would just recommend that you then in the council do just kind of a call there that you would like to make that donation, at least get it on record there. Because that kind of goes along with what we were talking about before, accepting in donations. And with this not being its own separate line item, but the appropriations are there, so the permission is there to spend. So technically right now, Max or Mark could write a purchase order to them. But with it being a donation, it's always kind of good just to have you guys at least verbally state your approval for it, that you would like to make that donation.
So if they do that, then just write a PO. One play, all right.
Simplest way.
But I would state in the minutes, that you would like to make that donation out of the property maintenance line for X amount.
We can do that, Art. How's everybody feel about that?
I did have a couple questions asked of me and I did not have an answer, so I'm seeking an answer, I guess. I didn't want to make one up. The company who is building the greenhouses, the questions were, 1, were they registered with the city? And 2, are they paying payroll taxes? That was the question I was asked by 2 different people. So
I can check with Jackie.
They have
But
to
they-
work
they have to-
21 straight days
Yeah.
before they have to pay tax. Deb Gomer came in the other day and gave me a slip of paper I've got on my desk who the company is, and don't ask me to quote it because I glanced at it and I can't remember. There's somebody that builds greenhouses.
I guess the question arose because they didn't know why Coshocton and Bloom maybe didn't use maybe they are local, I don't know. I mean, why they didn't use a local company. Maybe we don't have any build
Yeah, I
greenhouse.
was
don't
gonna say,
know
it's
how
probably a
many
special
local
thing.
companies build
That was the question.
greenhouses. So.
So, thank you.
They pseudo have one, yes.
Pseudo?
Pseudo. I've got all the information. We just haven't transferred it over to the permit And Deb didn't have the actual cost yet. So, we will waive the fees anyway on that, since it's a nonprofit.
Do you know the company that's doing it?
That's why I said I can, it's on a slip of paper.
Oh, okay,
Guys can't remember.
Were those same residents as concerned about the building falling over there as they are about who's trying to improve the property, or they're just?
No, I
worried
think they
about
watched the meeting online last week and understood we were going to appropriate some money and
I
we're just
noticed
asking
that,
questions.
I noticed the Beacon really botched that article up. Said that we were buying the property and had someone comment to me about that. And the city is not buying the property. Coshocton and Bloom owns the property. Coshocton and Bloom is putting greenhouses there. There was a mention of the Clary Gardens, and I think what was mentioned by Deb Gomer was that Clary Gardens was going to benefit from the flowers grown in the greenhouses. So Clary Gardens really doesn't have anything to do with the property as well, other than the flowers that will be grown in the greenhouses will possibly go to Clary Gardens. So to clarify that, the city is not buying that property. We're going to help Coshocton and Bloom with some funding opportunities to build greenhouses. Actually, what you're helping Coshocton and Bloom with is actually the demo and asbestos abatement from the old building. So that's actually what the city, what you're agreeing to help fund would be the demolition. and
So our funds
asbestos
are going to
abatement.
pay Levi or Albert, whoever was involved in the demolition and asbestos removal, not to pay the group who is building the greenhouse.
Correct, correct. And the funding is
That
actually,
clarifies, that gives me an answer.
the funding is directly paying those companies, but the funding will go to Coshocton and Bloom to pay
Okay.
those companies.
What
Yes.
what you approved tonight, the amount, we'll write a check to Coshocton and Bloom.
I'll have an answer.
We'll prove that at December
Ground
13th.
improvements as well. Level.
And I'm glad people are listening and asking questions.
Yeah, no, I am too.
They weren't complaining, they were asking.
That's good.
Tom, you have anything for Coshocton and Bloom? You have any?
No.
Thoughts?
No.
Mike? Kaylee?
No, I do not.
No, I'm good.
Glenn?
No.
Nothing
Good.
additional.
Okay, so we can, I'll add this, I'll have it added to the December 13th agenda with the amount. Does the amount change or are we still?
The amount, whatever the two invoices that Cherry had forwarded the
That's it?
council, that's the amount that.
What is the amount then? So
It's like
because we're gonna have to write it.
18,900.
It's
Something
19,083.
Something like that.
Yeah, $19,083. Okay, I think tomorrow, Max, you and Tom are taking a little road trip.
Correct.
Make sure you guys come straight home.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's all about the lot sizes.
We'll leave here about 12:30. It's for two subjects, actually. It's for stormwater utilities, what they've done in City of Zanesville. And what they're talking about with these lot sizes. Get their feelings on it, so. What they've done down there. So not that we have to copy Zanesville, but once it's written up in the wheels, I've got some good ideas. So. Probably Chip Saunders, who I believe is basically has the same job I have. down there. Harold Hitchens will be accompanying us as well.
Good luck, Tom.
Trying to get out of walking, Tom.
Yeah, I think I've done that.
Yeah.
I got full tank of gas, so we'll get that back. All right.
Trailers and campers. Where are we at on this? Have we started anything? I know that,
I sent an email to Sherry on the 17th to get ready for an ordinance tonight for Bob's wishes. And, you know, what happened to it is, no, I'm not sure. It's done. I mean, it's ready to move forward. And it was ready to be here tonight in ordinance form. But
has, and I don't know if anyone's asked, I think somebody has, I think in a phone call. I know of one or two that, one of the reasons why we're updating this, and plus for, you know, people are living in them, but is anybody going to the one on Spring Street and talk to him?
not to want to have a reason to talk. I mean, you know, he's gonna have to either put it in the backyard, or it's gonna have to be licensed and operable. Because it falls into that category that it's not legal work shutting down.
I don't know if someone addressed him personally, could get it out there. I know, you know, the ordinance will still be there, but that would be.
I see him every day. I'll say something to him.
Thanks.
I'll ask him.
I talked to Mark last week about it. I also, a question I asked, is this intended for one person? He did give me a couple of areas to check out, and I did.
Yeah, and you see why we want to do it.
One
There's
area
a
is
lot of
really,
places in town this ordinance.
Yeah, I've seen them. I
but
know.
you know, I think that person in particular, I don't know the other people, but I think if people were asked or just told, look, you need to get that thing out there, I think they'd probably do it.
Yeah, there are areas way worse than that.
Yes.
So Cherry has the,
She has the page, she has everything ready to put an ordinance for it.
Mayor, we have for,
Oh,
oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I just tricked you.
that's good.
Oh, do you want to go and give Port Authority?
Not much different from when we talked the last time. If you've driven by the corner of 6th and Orange Street and see that MFM is still working on that building. And I did ask if they were going to put a sidewalk in there. And he wasn't sure, so he's going to check
It's
that out.
actually,
Looks
it
like
it
the
will be
sidewalk?
soon, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they've already started the curve. They got rebar.
I thought I saw
They
something.
have, they actually cut it. So we have a nice straight line down 6th
Mhm.
Street. I thought they've done a great job.
Yeah, it
down
looks
through
good.
there. Put the garage doors on today, by the way, so.
Hopefully that big pile
Yeah,
of
we'll
dirt will be out there before long.
You said something about moving that to your front yard.
I could use it in the back.
You
That
want the
That
flag?
will be used out there.
Yeah, they'll flatten that all.
Front.
Yeah. It's a pretty nice looking building.
Yeah.
There's a couple of businesses that she's dealing with as far as relocating. Or renovating, but we're asking if any of that happens, it happens within the city limits. Some of this I don't think applies to the city. For example, the Genesis, that does impact us in some way, but we have told her we want to only hear news that will have a positive impact within the city limits. Steel ceilings are still working on that as far as remediation. I think that's taken care of finally. Skip's property is not within the city. They are putting a boat ramp in that area. There's a feasibility study done of either expanding the JEDs or annexing properties. They have hired, I don't know if it's Hammond Consulting to do that study. And our question was, is there anyone from the city involved in that feasibility study?
Is there, Mayor?
There are, so I haven't heard much on that. What I have heard is we will be involved, but it will not be a complete study for the city. And I can touch, I'm kind of working some behind the scenes to, not with that organization, but with a different one, and I'll bring you up to speed off of public record on that one.
I know some of us in our group probably see a lot of benefit with the JED, and others might favor the annexation issue. So it'd be nice to have some type of study telling us which one would be more economically advantageous for the city. I know some of the large cities, if they expand their utilities, they annex along the way. I know when I can remember big deal in Columbus with the Dublin area and Columbus providing utilities, water, sewer, etc., and annexing as they went along. That's more discussion about the Selby building. And it's still, I think, at least a couple of us who have attended the meeting with Tiffany, we still are asking that that building be preserved and not demolished. So that keeps coming to the forefront in our discussions. And she did also, again, explain or discuss a little bit about the potential of the theater and completion and development of that theater. And again, we're insisting that that be a big part of the regrowth of downtown. And she seems to be on board with that. So it was a positive meeting. And we're going to continue to have those meetings after, I think it's a Friday after they have their monthly meeting, we will meet with her. Thanks. Tom, and additions?
No, I think you covered everything that can be covered.
Nothing else. Okay, Mayor.
Well, with that, to follow up on what Roger said, actually I had a pretty productive meeting last week with Tiffany and, you know, talking everything, you know, a lot of areas. And the JED came up and, you know, we just agreed that we need a solid growth plan put in place where, you know, it benefits everyone, you know, and I will always be the believer that we provide 75% solid of any type of growth as far as our infrastructure, city fire, and we need to benefit from growth at a higher rate than what we are right now with the JED, and we need to just come up with a plan of, you know, which direction we're going. We're busting at the seams. We need more residential, and we just need to agree on a growth strategy. So, and I think the meeting went well. You know, we're all going to have to work together. The city can't be strained for resources with growth, because when the city becomes strained, growth doesn't happen. So, you know, that's where we're at now, is we have to do it and do it responsibly and do it to where the city is going to benefit. Right now, the city does benefit 1.46% income tax, but if it was in the city, we would benefit 2%. So, you know, when you start to talk about big numbers, 0.5% is most definitely, you know, more than 0.5% is beneficial to our city and our infrastructure. So we're just, you know, going to have to sit down and I'm working right now on finding the best ways to do that. So we will sit down at some point and I'll give you a couple ideas that I have, and we shall all work together for what's best for the people of our city, our county. You know, when we win, everyone wins. And that's the way we have to look at it, is we have to do what's best for everyone, because yes, essentially we want it to happen within the city. If it doesn't happen within the city, we're still collecting that money in the JED, but our growth strategy cannot be that everywhere there's growth, it's within a JED. So we have to figure out how we're going to execute. Leaf collection, there's a bearing actually out in the leaf truck. So if you see piles of leaves, me and Max were everywhere today, and the leaves are sitting there because our truck is sitting in the garage being worked on. There's a bearing that needs fixed. and it is being worked on and it is being fixed. So I think the last 3 days it's been down. And we are working diligently to fix that and just want residents to know we will be around. We will be around till the end of the year. A lot of, it's like any other issue. You have people, you have equipment, and you have weather. So when you balance those 3 things out, you have to make sure all those are clicking. And right now, at least one of those is not clicking. So we will be around to pick leaves up. If you're very impatient and you have nothing else to do but to worry about your leaves or your neighbor's leaves even, you can call Angie at Public Works and the number is 740-622-2686 and tell her an address of where you need leaves picked up. That doesn't mean that in 10 minutes, someone's going to be out there to pick your leaves up, but she can get you on a list and we can work from there. Finished up today a grant application for recreation economy for rural communities. It's sponsored by the EPA, by the national EPA. And it's a grant for technical assistance and planning. Basically, how do you balance and how do you connect downtown to your recreation facilities or recreational areas? So it's mainly outdoor recreation. I think we have a strong application. I worked through Omega with Lanny's help and got support from the CVB, from Kids America, the city as well. So wanted to let everyone know about that. I have no idea when we'll find out. There's 10 cities in the United States that will be awarded that. So just pretty exciting. So that's really all I have at this time. If anyone has any questions, I'll definitely answer them.
Anything for the mayor?
Thanks for meeting with Tiffany.
Yeah, appreciate that.
I have, somebody's been complaining about the, parking on Main Street going up the hill.
Okay, somehow a sign should be, there's no parking from 8th Street all the way up to the top of the hill. So they're going to install a
Okay.
sign. Actually, about the last couple of days, they should be getting that. It's on their list to get done. So most definitely.
Just makes it tricky on Sundays.
You
when they're
can't-
parking there.
Yeah, you
and-
can't go around because you're left to center.
Yeah.
So that's most definitely, yeah. I almost said put 2 signs in. So we're gonna
Right.
start with one at 8th Street this side, and then if that doesn't work, we're gonna go with another sign halfway up the hill.
Thank
So,
you.
yep.
Anybody else? Max, you have anything?
I don't.
You
Much
emailed-
other than what,
Yeah, you emailed the POs that were out and completed
yeah, for Public Works.
for Public Works.
Yeah. And of course,
Anything
there's
else?
some that were completed on October's list that we didn't get done, that we've done in the month of November as well. But Angie just put out November there. So if you see a project that's yours, that kind of, or that you know about in your wards, you can see where it's at. Or if you have anything, let me know. And we'll make sure we get it on the list. That leaf, reason it was down due to bearing failure. We were following the manual for once a week lubrication. Now it's a daily lubrication. So with, you never want to crack the seal, on the bearing, but like 2 squirts of grease a day will make all the difference in the world, because we're using that thing probably a little harder than what lubricating that blower bearing once a week calls for. So hopefully we won't have that problem again, although we did order a new bearing motor shaft. That's a critical failure part on that machine. So we have one in stock. Like Mark said, it's been down for 3 days, so it should have been fixed by tonight. So hopefully we'll see it back out on the street tomorrow.
If that doesn't work, we're going to plan B, the old way we used to do it. So one way or another.
Hopefully we'll have to
leaves-
do
Do we
that.
still own the old equipment?
Yes, yes. It just takes longer and
Oh,
it takes
yeah.
more.
It ties
people,
up the
so.
whole department. So, we're continuing to work on drainage projects. I'm sure you guys seen the one that we put in at corner bank and
Bank.
Sixth there, so that'll help that, dry that area up, hopefully hold that road a little bit better. So, if anybody's got any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer.
Max, there's a traffic light in front of the plaza if you're headed east on
Just
Second.
turns.
Yeah, so if they could get that straightened.
For some reason, that one does not want to stay tight. I'll bet we've done that 4 times this year. And every time there's a little bit of wind,
Turns it.
it turns it. Super. Gorilla glue.
I had a call from a guy on Tomahawk. I think you've probably talked to him before as well about damage in front of his house from the garbage truck.
Yeah, that's a full depth.
It's just on a
Yeah,
full
it's
depth
kind of-
repair run.
Pretty much what I told him.
Canoe, I think we done one this year for the same reason, so.
And then that letter from the Oak Avenue, I did a drive through there. Of course, it wasn't raining, but I did see a new catch basin. But of course, I didn't walk in the back of the property to look at the pipe she was talking about.
That pipe that she's talking about is the huge pipe that basically drains that hole into town. That would drain like Sligo Apartments, where Grayson's are at, up, around the Heritage Apartments.
Yeah.
All those congregate. If you're on 18th Street across from Hathaway's, you see this massive concrete lid. If you look down in there, there's like 3 big 36-inch pipe all the way into a 48-inch and then run under the road and then pick up some more. It is like a 4-inch river coming out of there.
Yeah, I'll
when it
bet.
rains. I've been
Yeah.
back there. But that is one of our designated EPA outfalls. And that area is sandy enough down in there that we're allowed to dump water there and it permeates into the ground. And now, I'll talk to Kevin about next year maybe is we can get access from the railroad. They pulled all their roadway out that they had temporarily built down through the Red Sea to put the new power poles in going to the paper mill. There's an old road go up on the end of Mill Street. It's not in very good shape, but it'll take you out down to the railroad.
Yeah.
There's a gate there, so we have to let the railroad know where we're doing. Maybe we could make a couple trips down through there and spray, but I'm not sure. You're probably talking Red Sea's probably what?
It's 30
40 yards
acres.
long,
Yeah, it would probably be
The width of it, I don't know how much spray you'll
probably be-
actually get over it.
Right.
5
Red
acres.
Sea.
It'd probably be 5 acres from
Yeah.
the tracks to the.
But we can do
Base
that
of
just
that
to see if it would help some. That's the first I'd ever really heard anybody complain that area had more mosquitoes than any other area, so.
It's been like it for years. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
that's where it all goes. It goes over.
Yeah.
And there's no access from the tracks in there because it's all mud,
All right,
Right.
all right.
because it all leaches in back.
I was saying you'd have to stay right on the tracks.
It doesn't really hold water down there.
No,
I've
it
been right
leaches
next-
away,
yeah,
goes
it
away.
leaches
Very
away.
sandy down in there.
Yeah,
And, to actually put something out to the river, that'd be a tremendous project to get under the railroad and everything, so.
yeah, that storm sewer that goes down there.
Yeah.
Or actually, that's a 36-inch
I think it's 36. And
and the water just, when it comes out of there, it's over your head.
it runs continuously. I mean,
Yes,
that's
I know it
picking
does.
up all that mine water from the Adams Street area,
Right,
Sligo apartment area, I'd say that up behind there, the whole hill.
yeah.
So, I mean, it has a constant flow, but I've seen after a downpour, it's amazing how much comes out of there.
Have
Like I
we
say,
had-
we may be able to spray it a couple times to see if that helps anything.
Can you spray from the top of the down? over
I don't know if you can get in behind there, if you got back,
You
where
can go
14th
back.
Street goes around the dead ends.
You can go so far down, and then there's alley access back to the
At the end
storms.
of 11th, you can get back to it.
Between 13th and
Yeah.
12th, you can go back that alley to and spray down.
Yeah.
Well, we get, of course, you got Saxon's
Yeah.
letter, Ham's, and they just live just right up
Yeah, I know.
from there.
I know where- I know that.
It's
We'll see if
tougher, it's tough. That's hard.
We
That's,
can see if we can do something with some spray next year. We were able to spray 4 times this year, which is not as good as we do, so. Once every month, the weather cooperated and was able to get 4 sprayings in, so. I will tell you this, mosquito sprays doubled in cost. So what we used to pay $2,400 for it was $5,000 and we reordered it. So Joe's going to work on a grant for this year to try to get some, see if we can get some for no money, so. We do, if you guys know this or not, but we have a contract with West Lafayette as well. It was sprayed West Lafayette. And Warsaw was talking about wanting to contract with us because their machine broke, so. We may have to do those for them as well next year for a cost, so.
Anybody else have anything? For Max? Thanks, Max. Bob, you have anything, Paul Director?
2 things.
Yes, sir.
First question on the trailer ordinance. We obviously intended for that to be here today for you to look at so that we can put it on the agenda. That didn't happen. Do you want to do that for the next meeting without it being on the agenda, which means it's not going to pass until January? Or what is council's pleasure on that?
Can we get it written up and emailed to us?
I have copies I can hand you, Todd, if you want those, but it's not in ordinance form. It was not put in ordinance form. Or I can email it to you.
Well, what he means by not in ordinance form. We have the section as it will be in the book. It just doesn't say wherefore the city wishes to amend section such and such. So if you want to see what we've come up with, Jeff could probably give you copies so you can.
So we'll have the meat and potatoes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And
then hopefully we could then put it on the agenda for next week. So I would suggest you do that. Maybe Jeff, while I'm talking about my next issue, Jeff can make copies of
I've got
that.
copies downstairs ready. Just bring them up.
If that's what council wants to do.
Yeah.
Tom, you okay with that?
Yes.
Mike?
yes, fine.
Yeah.
Glenn?
Yes.
And really, realistically, getting it passed, and then after the first year, when I start down there, it's gonna be a whole lot easier to enforce than it will be right now. But, I think once we transition me to the sheriff's office, it's gonna make writing citations a whole lot easier than what we have to go through. So I think, if you wanted to start it and pass it, then we'll get it going there. I'll get it.
Second one?
Second, you asked me to work on a farm animal ordinance. I think that Cherry emailed that to you for purposes of discussion tonight. So if you want to get that going for the next meeting, maybe we can just talk about that and changes.
It's added to the agenda.
It's on.
For an ordinance form.
Yes,
I didn't intend for her to do that. I told her just to have it for you
So we
to
can look-
discuss tonight,
discuss.
so that you could potentially vote on it next meeting. Now, if you're all happy with it, then that's fine.
I think Michelle had a question.
Yeah, the only thing I saw, and it says clearly at the top that it's the ordinance is for the keeping of farm animals. But in the definition, domesticated animal that's been developed to live in and habitat of humans, or the habitation of humans, and then in the licensing part, application shall be made to the mayor accompanied by a fee of $250. So I didn't know does it include cats and dogs? Is it okay?
No, that doesn't.
Farm
actually-
animal.
It's just the licensing part only deals with therapy.
Okay,
The
would it be just therapy farm animals though, right? Or
Yeah.
not a therapy cat?
No, you keep cat no longer.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I know that my daughter's in college and they've got roommates that have to have petitions for therapy. Cats and dogs, that so many people in this room, and I just didn't know if it needed to be written in here or not.
This was my creation, so you want to change stuff, that's fine. I just tried to allow for therapy animal if necessary, but make it enough regulations. Number one, that I don't think somebody would Just because they want a goat doesn't mean, they wouldn't say it's a therapy animal. 'Cause it's gonna cost them
Right.
$250. They gotta provide insurance, they gotta do the application, they gotta have doctors say that it's a therapy animal. So I'm trying to make enough regulation to dissuade people from just abusing the system, but also allow it if somebody truly needs a therapy animal.
So I think it's okay. I mean, it falls under the keeping of farm animals where you have them all listed. And then therapy C.
I would rather you
So,
not vote on it till the next meeting, so
She needs to.
yeah.
This guy.
Because I
We'll take that.
got this done last week. And
Okay.
I want to read more about therapy goats.
in the end, you're the one that decides.
Yeah, you're the man.
So actually, I'm probably gonna need the most therapy out of this. Okay.
And roosters are not therapy.
agreed.
Specifically.
But
So
they
no
can
more
be for a
chickens.
small fee.
No, nobody can have chickens then, because there aren't there several.
Oh, they can
That's
be
what
maybe
they
for a
do.
small,
You
okay.
have to break them.
Okay.
Oh,
Go to the next one.
Oh, yes, sorry, I'm doing that, sorry.
What we did with the trailer ordinance, Jeff can speak to this, is he put a lot of his concerns in there that he's been facing as to trying to regulate these things. My job was more to make the definition of recreation vehicle, trailer, et cetera, to include all the things that might be out there that we're not wanting in the city. Together, we came up with this proposal.
So I know we talked about covering, just looking through here real quick. the Campers. I know there are some campers that you have to be careful about covering. Max and I talked about that.
And I think that, as Max had brought up, most of them say don't cover them more than halfway. That's fine because it gets it over that door that doesn't make it easy for people to access in and out. I don't think it has to be buttoned clear to the bottom and have it tied shut, at least as long as it comes down part way on the camper, so it protects that door from being used and somebody going in and out of there. That way, if you drive, for me, if I drive by and I see a camper set without a cover on it, makes it easier for me to get a reason to go access that yard and find out if it's plugged in, if there's people in it.
I got a question, I guess. So, I got people out my area that have $40,000 travel trailers inside their house. That does not bother me in the least.
Well, and what if somebody's got a carport? I know somebody in town's got theirs underneath a little carport that they had made just for that. Do they have to have it?
I mean, we're trying to get rid of junk stuff here, not.
You know what I mean? That's.
We
it's
are,
covered,
but
it's
by the
not,
same token, you can't do selective enforcement.
I understand that. That's why I'm
Say
bringing it
this
up.
one's okay enough to be covered, this one has to be covered. And that's totally you guys' discretion. I'm just trying to make it easier for me to identify a camper that I need to look closer at. If they've got it under a cover, I think that ordinance says backyard. If you want to take that out and make a side yard, I was trying to keep it from being between people's houses. So a neighbor has to look out their window and see that camper sitting 3 feet off their property line. Or have it where the one is on Spring Street, where it's beside the house, between the house and the yard. So that's where getting it into the backyard eliminated all that. But, it's your discretion because it's your constituents that are complaining about, I got somebody living in a camper, I got 3 campers on this one piece of property.
Some of these things cost $500,000, but if somebody's living in it in the Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you gonna want that? That's up to you guys, but
I guess,
we can't differentiate the really nice ones
Right.
from the dumping.
From the really
What
not
about
nice
ones that
ones.
haven't moved for years? I mean, like, isn't there something like cars can't?
Well, that's what
Sit
this
there on
covers.
the-
This makes them put license on it and it has to be operable. So
As
yeah.
long as it's got license on it, you can leave it sit wherever you want, as long as the tag's up to date.
But if
And
it's
ones
you
not
in the alley
operable-
off
And you
John
can hook
Street
onto
are-
it and
they're
park.
terrible.
Well, they are. Yeah.
And just, but
They're
they're in the
bad.
backyard.
Yep.
So, because I guess we could apply another
I mean,
piece of the law to that. But that's horrible.
because isn't there a guy over by Preddy's, old Preddy's, that's got one in his backyard, a big RV, and I think he's got a big, kind of right behind his.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, I was thinking there was a guy back in there that had a big.
Yeah.
And, but it's in his backyard, but he's got a little, one of those metal buildings built over top of it.
And all
Those
he
metal
has to
carports.
do,
Yeah,
if it's got sides, if he just puts an end on it, it's now enclosed.
okay.
And the enclosure can be, I don't care if it's a piece of canvas enclosed the end of it
Mhm.
and the sides. That makes it enclosed if they've got under those carports. And that meets the requirements of the ordinance.
I have a feeling we're gonna hear from a lot of people.
Oh, I think so
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Um,
Anybody have any idea what a cover would cost?
Yeah, for a big camper like that,
It's
they're,
mainly gonna be the people that truly
Use it.
use the
them
camper,
as
right?
recreational vehicles rather than have their cousin live in for the winter time.
Right.
Should
But
we,
I'm like Jeff, I don't see how you try to get rid of the problem without
Right, without hurting
affecting a
everybody's.
lot of people that
everybody's
really are
feelings.
using them as. a
what if we eliminated under A where it says or in rear yard in any district, it says the parking of an unoccupied trailer and accessory private garage building shall be permitted. Because like I said, those ones in the alley on John Street, those things are bad.
Yeah.
They're in the backyard. So you
That's
don't
what I
say
told
that's
him.
fine.
By
Yeah,
eliminating
yeah.
that.
I drive that road about every other day. just to
Garage,
look.
everybody.
But if we don't address that, can I just put a piece of crap trailer in my backyard and leave it there?
As long as it's licensed, as long as it's operable, and as long as it's not connected, and as long as you have a cover. of it. But the key there is, most of those are not licensed, and they can't hook onto them and move them. So if the ordinance says, back your truck up, hook onto it and show me you can pull it around the block and put it back in the yard, and it's got current plates on it, then they're okay. It's like, it's like Mike is contacting me. There's a guy down on Locust that's probably got, 8 or 10 cars in his backyard. Now, I sent him a letter. Well, what he did was he drove every one of them to City Hall, parked them out here, took a picture of the tag, took a picture of the vehicle at City Hall, proved that he has all of them licensed, all of them. How he parks in his backyard, I can't regulate, but he's in the requirements. Same with the trailers. If they can, even if it's a 100-year-old trailer, they can put a plate on it and they can move it, then it would meet the spirit of the ordinance.
This is probably one we need to
Yeah, yeah,
rereadings.
revisit, yeah.
I would also encourage Jeff or whoever to personally contact these people prior to ticketing them or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't just go out and blanketly write a ticket. They have lots of opportunity to comply before I get to the point that I call Bob and say, it's time. I mean, I've dealt with people sometimes for as much as a year trying to get them to accomplish something. If they show me they're making a little bit of progress on something, we go with that. So yeah, they're not just gonna go out and get a ticket because they don't have it done. They'll get a notice. That's where the 15 days in that ordinance is. They'll get the same as everybody else. They'll get a notice. You have 15 days to comply. And if they don't, then move forward.
Anybody else have anything on this? I just encourage council to make sure we go over what we pulled off about the keeping of farm animals, to look at that and to go over this, so we can with the campers. And if we have anything, we need to make sure that we either include everybody in an email or make sure we email Bob and Jeff.
At this point, is the farm animals on for the next meeting, but not the trailers? Is that the way you want to handle it, or
At the next meeting,
at the next meeting?
now, I think the reason why that we wanted this, so we could go ahead and get this on because cold weather's.
I
gonna
know,
be
but it
here.
sounds like council needs further.
Well, we have until December. I think we have plenty of time to go over it.
I don't have a problem with both of them being on the next meeting.
I personally don't, but it's up to these guys.
I think that's
Tom,
fine.
are you okay with both being on?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Mike,
I'm okay with it.
Kaylee,
Yes.
you are?
Mhm.
Liz?
Yeah, I think so. We don't have to pass it that night.
No,
I think that's fine.
correct.
December 13th.
Like I said, I think if we have any questions, we need to make sure that we get them to the proper place as soon as we can. Anything else? Sherry, you have anything for us?
The longer I have sat here and with you stating that you don't want the Coshocton and Bloom to be until the December meeting, I think I will go ahead and do a transfer and create a new line. It'll just be under general admin, Coshocton and Bloom is what I'll call it. And I'll have you do a transfer from the property maintenance, general admin, property maintenance, $19,082. At this point, I don't have anything else. Hopefully with tonight's transfers, I have us pretty much cleaned up, but sometimes we run in all seriousness, we run our appropriations so tight and so that when it gets this time of the year, it really makes it difficult to, if we don't have something. So if I do, I'll just email you, but definitely plan on, I think I'll just go ahead since you're gonna hold off and do a transfer for that one.
I have a question for Bob on Sherry's transfers and appropriations. Is this something that we have to do one at a time, or can we group 53, 21, 54, 21, 55, 21, 57, 21, 58, 21, and 59, 21, and pass together?
No, because the draft of the separate ordinances, you'll have to do them separately.
All right.
We probably could have done it as one ordinance, but
The wage ordinances,
I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Well, I know like
Appropriation.
for school
the
board meetings,
various-
for example, if we have 6 or 7 policies, instead of passing them individually, we can lump them together and pass A 1 through 8 in one vote, instead of doing them individually.
We probably could have done one ordinance that dealt with the wages of the,
well, but they're
Recreation
different, they're
and stuff.
different terms.
yeah.
They're different terms. Recreation only gets passed for 1 year.
But you're still
These
passing
are-
them, you're passing them as written, but you're just passing them as a.
Oh, he's saying, we're gonna pass ordinance, 53, 54, 55, or suspend the rules for all of those.
Yeah.
And give it one reading. That's a higher revised code thing, I would think, but I don't know, what do I know?
Hey, forget it.
Just don't go so fast this time.
He's just trying to bundle and save. He's
I
know.
giving away too much TV.
Okay. Sheriff Crawford emailed us the shift assignments. Not here, but if anyone has anything to ask from the council. And there were minutes here. Dave emailed us the report from his office. You had the billing office, monthly updates, public utilities and distribution, water and the sewage. Anybody have anything for him? Dave, you have anything?
Yeah, just couple comments there that I think is good. Red tags overdue is starting to trend back down. I think I attributed that increase. We picked up a bunch of stuff from West Lafayette. They hadn't done any billing in terms of shut-off reads since January when we took over in July. So that kind of created a big hit there, because they're now coming back down. I think distribution, probably one of the things we get, I'll say, beat up the most on. We are trying to reduce that backlog. Mayor and I have a conversation with Dale on this, street repairs and water breaks. Started out at 27, at 22 done, we're gonna try to get the other 5 done in the next week or so. That's becoming more of a priority focus. We're making progress.
Thanks, Dave.
Mhm.
I've just explained to Dave that when they tear the street up, it becomes an administrative, like, there's a hole in my road and a lot of times Public Works gets blamed for the streets because that's what they're in charge of. So whatever utilities can do to fix the issue, then Public Works doesn't get the call, we don't get the call, and the issues are fixed. Instead of waiting till we have 40 holes in all the roads, we might have 3 or 4 or 5, and then we fix them instead of I drive the roads, you guys drive the roads, let's fix the problem when it occurs and move on to the next problem instead of creating 40 problems and then we hear about it. So Davis and the utilities crew are doing their part to keep our phones more quiet. At least on that end.
I have a question. You guys were saying you were fixing something that one of the trash trucks had just done or something you were just talking about here earlier. Do we take pictures of that and keep records and try to figure out how much damage they do in a year's time to our city?
We could figure that out real easy.
It'd be nice to have. before we
Yeah,
go
I
to
think
the
it would be
next contract.
because we can't force them out, right? Because they're low bidders. But if we can report damage,
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to take the low bid, obviously, we just have to have a reason why not to, or that's you guys call, but,
And
You have to take the lowest and best.
best.
here lately, and when I say
I just,
we, I mean.
I just think we
me.
need to document more that, this book here is every hole that you've made in our town that we've repaired in a year. And
When I was in negotiations, that's one of the top things we
right,
really,
that
really
was one of the
talked
things.
about, and we never,
I drive around and you look at about every other corner, there it is,
and they actually said they were going to rectify that, and
Mhm.
they haven't.
Mm-mm.
They've trashed the alleys. Alleys are
Yeah,
trash.
They went too big of
I
vehicles.
know the Rumpkin, I think they were like $6 more, but would people be
Waste away.
willing,
Waste away was like.
would they be willing to pay the $6 more and not have the damage to our roads and our?
I've been lately in the trash business and like, that's really not, I don't want to say that's not what I signed up for, but
Mhm.
residents have been having increasing issues with Kimball. And those issues have actually filtered over to my office. And what I've been doing, there's some turnover going on at Kimball. Kimball has issues like everyone else has with employees. That's no excuse not to honor your contract and do your job. So I'll let you know a couple instances where Kimball had not picked trash up, said there was a low hanging wire on hydraulic. We actually went out and measured it for them, took pictures, said there's no issue. Had a customer up there, well, not a customer of ours, a resident of ours, a customer of theirs, didn't have trash pickup for a month. Our Public Works Department went up and picked their trash up. Roger, I knew you'd love it, because I'm like, now I see.
There's something built into that contract where if they don't pick it up
Yeah,
within
they're
72
supposed to.
hours or 40, they can be fined. And we
Well,
need to do
and
that.
so what I've done is, instead of phone calls, I've been emailing. And I sent 2 emails at 2 different addresses last week with 0 response from Kimball. So that's how I'm going to handle it. I'm going to send, I might have sent a email before that maybe they might not have liked, but I basically, what's been happening is they've told residents, we'll send a letter out, we'll change this, we'll change that, we'll communicate with the residents, and that's never happened. So where's the phone call coming? It comes back to us, makes us look like we're not doing what we need to do, and that's not what's happening. So
If they're not carrying out their end of our contract, there needs to be a way we can dissolve that contract for them not pulling their weight.
well, I haven't read the contract, but any contract language is customer service, you know, if you're not doing what you need to do. At this point, like I said, I'm just documenting everything and then.
There is a paragraph in there, and I'm thinking there's a,
I'll get out. We're gonna mistake.
there's
I
a
know we
fine in
talked
there.
about
that
that.
They
I was
have
thinking
to
that
pay.
was too.
Yeah, we definitely talked
There
about
is,
that.
and we need to impose it on them if they're not doing their job.
No, I've been heavily involved in trash pickup here lately and I have voiced my opinion to Kimball. And I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. Max has been on the phone with Kimball. And we are, we're not having,
Yeah, I just think it's something we need to look into.
we're having
and-
relationship
Yeah,
issues, I think you
so-
can say, so.
When is their contract up? It's like the first thing we
About
voted on
3
2
years.
years
Yeah, I
ago.
think it's a 3-year deal.
It was a
Yeah.
3-year deal.
So,
Yep, so, and we'll have that
Two,
documentation when we go to negotiate another contract.
Four on the five.
Yeah, it's 4 years with an option for an additional year, and I think we're only a year into it.
yeah.
It
But
would
they're
have been
not,
the first thing that
I
I
talked to
voted on
Greg
as a new council
Kimball.
person. So
They'll be
that
coming
was
down to talk to us.
2 years ago.
they're not living up to their end of the bargain, so we should be
No, and
able
it
to.
is getting worse daily.
Well,
It says-
we have to put up with that for 3 more
Only
years.
one time we did put it, and the amount may not exceed $1,000, so
So
we
we
have
can
it.
find them $1,000 every time then.
It says that as long as it says no incident may be considered for implement penalty unless contractors is afforded notice of the incident and fails to cure the incident within 48 hours.
And that's not happening.
Okay.
I can guarantee you.
That was in that.
I say they owe us money.
Mhm.
But like I
We
said,
got their attention. Let's go
Okay,
back
right.
at the end of the
Yeah,
line.
I've been driving around, I'm thinking, man, I wish I had my iPad with me and I get a good picture. And then, just make a book of it and just throwing at them.
I've even seen mattresses where they picked up the trash can and the mattresses are wrapped
Yeah.
and the mattresses are still there.
Yep.
Number of places.
That should never happen.
I discovered a small landfill the other day and I'm glad I got to it when I got to it. So that was like
There's one
the
down
first
on
thing in
South
the morning.
Anybody else have anything? Jeff, you have anything for us?
Just real quick, I had a resident today who has a physical handicap, asked me to mention that maybe if you get out to the public, clean the leaves off their sidewalks because someone was on crutches. It's very treacherous for him to maneuver. And secondly, I had a conversation with the president of the company that bought the bulk of the Edmont building. Their plans are to get it fenced. They're having issues like their life supply chain, trying to get the chain link fence. Plan on fencing the property, demoing the property, and I have put them in touch with Tiffany because they would like to do something to develop that property. And Tiffany had some ideas, so I gave him Tiffany's information, contacted Tiffany, so hopefully we'll get something going up there soon.
I know there's one company looking to relocate or looking to build in town. That would be a perfect spot.
Well, I can put you in contact with the company that owns it and they could maybe start, because it's a development company, and that is their whole plan.
Does
is to-
novelty sell for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does a novelty sell?
Yes, and I'm unsure.
As long as the bank approved it is what I heard, but I don't know.
I don't think it was anyone locally.
Yeah. As long as, the
I didn't
bank-
know that,
as
no.
long as the bank approved the bid is what I was told.
Never gonna get the money.
Is the door here?
It did sell.
Yeah,
that.
6:45.
It's a-
It's not on the agenda.
That's okay.
It was
It's
announced in the beacon.
advertised.
Yeah,
it's
advertised. It's in the
advertised
beacon.
2 weeks, yeah.
So
Can I just
6:45. Go ahead.
income tax, real quick, just to let you know, Jackie sent out a ton of delinquents. So there was quite a bit of traffic in City Hall, so I imagine that'll keep up here in the next few weeks, so. let you know that.
Would have one more, just quick question here, maybe. Is there anything on the books and ordinances about when there is an eviction out of a rental and the owners go in and they just throw everything out and put it on the curb and then it sits there? Is there anything where maybe the homeowner should be responsible for getting a dumpster in there, or is, what's?
7 days.
I think we just passed.
The way the ordinance is, they have 7 days from the time they make the eviction that they leave it there for the people to get it picked up, and if they don't do that, then they're required to bring a dumpster in or their crew in and remove it.
Okay.
And the one that happened on Main Street a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
we gave them the 7 days. I made a call to the property owner, and that morning they had people there and getting it out.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there's 7 days and it's in the ordinance.
Just gets bad because people
Okay,
dig
so-
through it.
Yeah.
It's like,
We have the door hearing.
Or we could put this on. It's really, there's no comment. Anyone have any comment?
Hearing.
I think you have to call it.
Do it either, but.
You have to call it into session.
I'll
Yes, you have to call it into session.
I'll just call it, I'll call our door meeting into session right now.
Just hit it on there. I'm more confident.
I got tickets.
Yeah.
You're gonna be towed out?
Just hit it.
Yeah,
In contact that, no parking.
I think we paid 100. We can make it. Should you at these? So, yeah, we got down on the floor. Yeah. Well, not on the floor, but.
Pretty close,
Yeah.
So.
He said, yeah, he just texted me.
voice radio.
Whoa.
Don't do that.
Whoa.
That's the, that means this side of the Mississippi, this side of Cambridge. Don't pay much for it. Are we on one? I guess. I gotta watch what I say. You do? No.
I don't.
Never did before.
Yeah.
We've been on mute this whole time.
No, it's good.
Today's Monday, November 22nd, 2021, 7:02. This is a regularly scheduled city council meeting. Call the meeting to order. Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Here.
Barcroft here, Gross,
Here.
Johnson here, Mishler. Here. Moore here, Turner.
Here.
Please stand for the pledge, remain standing for the invocation.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we thank you again for this opportunity. Guide, direct us in everything we say and do tonight. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Council emailed the minutes from the November 8th meeting. Are there any questions or comments?
Make a motion that any minutes be approved.
Motion by Chad.
Second.
Andrew seconded. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Barcroft,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Okay, public input, we held a DORA public hearing, 6:45 until 7. We had that, and council, I'm sure that, that everybody, I assume everybody was forwarded the, notice from Pam Sexton, which we discussed in council. Anything else from the public input? Okay, we have some requests for additions to the agenda. Ordinance 5321, an ordinance establishing wages for council members, president of council, and clerk of council for calendar years 2022 and 2023. Ordinance 5421, an ordinance establishing the wages for treasurer. Ordinance 5521, an ordinance establishing the 2022 pay schedule for the recreation department and seasonal workers. And ordinance 57-21, an ordinance establishing wages for those that are exempt from collective bargaining. I need a motion to add the listed ordinances to the agenda. Mishler, motion.
I'll second.
Turner, second. Mr. Moore, call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Any reports from standing committees? I don't see any here. Mayor's report. Mayor, you have anything else to?
I got a couple good plugs here. Christmas parade was absolutely, don't know, incredible. I'm going to call it incredible. The turnout, the support, you know, from downtown business, our town Coshocton actually was responsible for planning, lining people up. The downtown businesses were open later. All the companies, organizations that were in the parade itself there was a lot of people, and downtown, I've never saw a parade with 10 deep, you know, from 7th Street all the way to 3rd Street. So just want to thank everyone for coming out supporting that cause and hope everyone had a great time. One of the takeaways that I saw from that is, I think when I took this job, I just inherited like 11,000 kids, a lot of trash left downtown that I saw. Just want to recommend, like I tell my two teenage sons, pick your trash up, put it in your pocket, throw it in your car, throw it somewhere, preferably a trash can downtown. They are highly accessible. This is not my town. This is your town. This is our town. And we need to take good care of it. Just want to appreciate, everyone's understanding. I would blame it all on the kids, but some adults probably threw trash down as well. So remember, we don't want to look at trash. We want to look at a clean downtown. Our people actually took time out Friday early during the day to make sure downtown was spotless, and appreciate that from our own employees, and just ask that people take good care of their town. So when you see a trash receptacle, that's where the trash goes. If you don't have one, take it with you, throw it in your car, throw it in your trash can at home. Want to plug Christmas Magic and Lights is going to be put on by the Agricultural Society at the fairgrounds. Christmas Magic and Lights will be held December 3rd and 4th at the fairgrounds from 6 to 9 p.m. You can find info out on Facebook. They're asking different organizations to join and decorate. Last year, actually, I was out of town and got a phone call that something crazy was happening on 7th Street. We had traffic backed up from the fairgrounds to Chestnut Street. So it was a huge turnout this year. Yeah, to McDonald's. It was, so I rushed back home and I said, I got to get in this line and see what's going on. So I don't think they were prepared. I think the sheriff's had meetings with the organizers already. Me and Max have had meetings. So we want that turnout, but we want to do it responsibly and want to remind people, if you're in front of the fire department, especially, if there's a line of traffic there, then a fire truck can't get out. So, be respectful. Intersections, the fire department, let people go. 'Tis the season to be jolly, so let's be jolly and help each other out. Candlelighting in Roscoe, hard to believe, 50 years of candlelighting. I'm not even that old, so it must be old. December 4th and December 11th at 6 p.m. You can go out and sing Silent Night and light candles with your neighbors. Something that I can't make a bunch of fanfare about, but I'm pretty excited about closing an almost 50-year deal. The city now owns Ferry Falls Drive. I want to thank Steve for his cooperation, and it was a joy to negotiate as always. That's probably my favorite thing in this job, is to negotiate and to come up with resolutions to issues. I just want to say thank you. And that was a pretty exciting thing. So if I do nothing else, at least I did that. And I am going to end with saying hello to Briley and Brooklyn P, our 5th graders at Coshocton Elementary. They sent me letters today and they were heartwarming. I will make a trip to the school. And it was it's just tell me thank you, and they're giving thanks for our community. And the last line is your job difficult? And all I want to say is my job is not difficult, but sometimes the people that I encounter daily make my job difficult. So my job's not difficult, but sometimes just the people are. So want to say thanks for thinking of me, and I want to wish the community a very happy Thanksgiving. Be careful when you're driving. Look up. Don't drink and drive. Don't do drugs and drive. Once again, I feel like everyone's dad. So maybe someday I'll be old enough and have enough wisdom to be everyone's dad. But for now, be safe. Look out for each other, and don't throw your trash downtown. Thank you.
Safety Director, Max.
I don't have anything to add outside of what we talked about in committee, but I will add a little bit to the lights at the fairgrounds. We're going to try blocking off the northbound lane of Seventh at Alder, just like we do for the fair. Last year, they thought some of it was people who come down Seventh trying to cut in, as people are going straight in, so, for those, 2 nights anyway, for a pleasant 3 hours, 4 hours, we'll block that off there, and people can go out Alder, and we'll see if that speeds up traffic a little bit through there. Other than that, everybody have a Thanksgiving.
Max, if you could pass on some thanks to the guys that put up the Christmas decorations.
Sure, yeah, sure, it's awesome.
Ball Director, Bob, you have anything to add?
Not since committee meeting.
Thanks, sir. Sherry, you have anything for your auditors report?
Nothing further, just hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Sheriff Crawford, you guys were emailed the city shift assignments. You guys have any questions for him? Thanks for everything. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jeff, you have anything to add?
Just say again in this meeting, for the community, please remember to get the leaves off your sidewalk to make it safer for people to walk on. Nothing else unless you have any questions.
Utilities Director David, Council emailed the billing report, distribution report, the water department, the sewer department. Any questions for him? Council? Committee meetings, we're good. Dave, you have anything else?
Just a reminder that we did have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor for the 8th and 9th Street water line project. They're anticipating starting after the first of the year. Their issue is material availability right at the moment.
Probably Dirt Dog Construction, that's the name of them.
I think it's Dirt Dog Excavating
Dirt
Construction.
Dog Excavating. Dirt Dog, DAWG. They done our, Hillsdale project, so.
Okay, does anybody have anything else? Okay, we'll go to legislation. Legislation of first reading. Ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of ordinance 53-21.
An ordinance establishing wages for council members, president of council, and clerk of council for calendar years 2022 and 2023.
For the first reading of 53-21, any questions or comments? Need a motion to suspend the rules and give it the second, third reading.
I'll make a motion.
Andrews makes a motion, Sexler seconded. Commissioner Moore, call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Fishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ask Mr. Moore to give 53-21 a second reading.
An ordinance establishing wages for council members, president of council, and clerk of council for calendar years 2022 and 2023.
Mr. Moore to give the 53-21 a third reading.
Ordinance establishing wages for council members, president council, clerk of council for calendar years 2022, 2023.
For the third reading of 53-21, the question is, should 53-21 pass? Mr. Moore, call the roll, please.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Fishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 53-21 is passed. I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of ordinance 54-21.
An ordinance establishing wages for treasurer.
For the first reading of 54-21, any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to suspend rules and give it a second and third reading.
Johnson made a
I'll
motion.
second.
Moore seconded. Mr. Moore, call the roll, please.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Fishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the second reading of 54-21.
An ordinance establishing wages for treasurer.
Mr. Moore to give the 54-21 a third reading.
An ordinance establishing wages for treasurer.
For the third reading of 54-21, the question is, should ordinance 54-21 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews,
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 54-21 is passed. Still first reading. I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of ordinance 55-21.
An ordinance establishing the 2022 pay schedule for the Recreation Department and seasonal workers.
For the first reading of 55-21, any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion, we suspend the rules and give it a second and third reading.
Turner made the motion, second. Barcroft seconded. Moore, call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Mr. Moore to give the 55-21 a second reading.
An ordinance establishing the 2022 pay schedule for Recreation Department and seasonal workers.
Mr. Moore, please give 55-21 a third reading.
An ordinance establishing the 2022 pay schedule for the Recreation Department and seasonal workers.
For the third reading of 55-21, the question is, should ordinance 55-21 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft. Yes. Rose.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 55-21 is passed. Ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of 57-21.
An ordinance establishing wages for those that are exempt from collective bargaining.
Heard the first reading of 57-21. Any questions or comments?
Motion to suspend the rules and give it a second and third reading.
I'll second
Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Mr. Moore to give 57-21 a second reading.
An ordinance establishing wages for those that are exempt from collective bargaining.
Mr. Moore, please give 57-21 a third reading.
An ordinance establishing wages for those that are exempt from collective bargaining.
For the third reading of 57-21, question is, should 57-21 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 57-21 is passed. Ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of ordinance 58-21.
Appropriations.
For the first reading of 58-21, any questions or comments?
Make a motion to suspend the rules and give it a second and third reading.
Andrew made the motion.
I'll second it.
Johnson seconded. Mr. Moore, call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Rose, or Barcroft.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Appropriations.
Thanks for the second reading, Mr. Moore. 58-21. Ask Mr. Moore to give the third reading of 58-21.
Appropriations.
For the third reading of 58-21, question is, should ordinance 58-21 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 58-21 is passed. Legislation at the second reading. I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the second reading of 49-21.
5921. All right.
49. Oh, skip 59?
Yeah.
Yep. My bad. I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading. We'll go back to the first reading. Ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of 59-21.
Transfers.
For the first reading of 59-21, any questions or comments?
Make a motion to suspend the rules. and second and third reading.
Johnson?
Second.
Good. Roll call roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross. Yes. Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ask Mr. Moore to give 59-21 a second reading.
Transfers.
Mr. Moore, please give the third reading of 59-21.
Transfers.
For the third reading of 59-21. Question is, should ordinance 59-21 pass? Mr. Moore, call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 59-21 is passed. Legislation has second reading. Now ask Mr. Moore to give the second reading of 49-21.
In order to appropriate funds for the current expenses and other expenditures for the city of Coshocton, state of Ohio for January 1, 2022 through December 31, 2022.
Any questions or comments? Ordinance will take its course. We have no legislation at the third reading, no resolutions. No old business. New business. Communications. Do you have any communications from anybody? Mr. Moore, when's the next date and time of our meeting?
December 13th, committee meeting at 5:30, council meeting at 7.
Need a motion? Be adjourned.
Almost
Andrews
second.
made the motion, Johnson second. Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft. Yes. Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Adjourn.
Yeah.